Welcome to the PrepNet, presented every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Talk2Me's Channel 14. Come join us to discuss everything about prepping and hear what others have done. Multiple uses for some food stores. This week's topic will show some of the multiple uses for your food stores. Having food items that can be used for many different types of meals gives you more variety and reduces the amount of space you need to store them, or you will be able to store more food in the same space. What we will present here will not be a complete list, but it should get you thinking about what you will stock up on. So let's start. A can of pinto beans, or freeze-dried pinto beans, can be used to make chili, put in soups and stews, and made into refried beans. It's more efficient to have the beans than individual cans of chili, soup, stew, and refried beans. I already covered the example of using preserved ground beef in last week's net. The same would be true for chicken, turkey, pork, and other beef cuts. Canned or freeze-dry meats can be preserved as ground, cubes, small pieces, or even large pieces. Warning: you can freeze-dry raw meat. However, I do not recommend it. Freeze-drying meat does not kill any bacteria from the meat, so you absolutely must cook it as you would fresh meat. If you pre-cook the meat, you will have removed any bad things, and the freeze-drying process will remove the liquid, which is where the bad stuff grows. Again, think about the food items you want to stock up on. Freeze-dried diced tomatoes can be brought back as diced tomatoes or for salsa. Now crush the freeze-dried tomatoes into a powder, and you can make tomato soup to tomato paste. Just season. Freeze-dried shredded cheese can come back as shredded cheese to be used on hamburgers, tacos, and sandwiches, or for grilled cheese sandwiches. Crushing the freeze-dried shredded cheese, you can make a cheese powder, and then use it in a variety of ways. Rehydrate your freeze-dried potatoes into the potato dishes you like. You guessed it, crush the freeze-dried potatoes into a powder, and you now have potato flakes. Add water or milk, or whatever, and make mashed potatoes. Or, take freeze-dried apple pieces and crush them to make applesauce. Let's finish up the freeze-dried food with raw freeze-dried eggs. The egg powder makes passable scrambled eggs or even a fried egg for a sandwich. I also use my freeze-dried egg powder in my cooking and baking. The rest of the presentation will be directed to dry foods. Let's start with sugar. Obviously, sugar is used to sweeten things and is used in baking. If you use brown sugar, you don't need to buy it separately. You can make your own brown sugar from white sugar and molasses as needed. If you're a winemaker, you know you need a lot of sugar for the fermentation process. Stock up on the amount you will need. Dry pasta is next. Pasta isn't flexible as you can't make elbow pasta out of angel hair pasta. However, most 1-pound packages of pasta will take up about the same amount of space. Just make sure you have a variety of the types you like. And remember, any type of pasta can be used for many different dishes. Hot or cold? How about popcorn? You can use popcorn for a few things other than popped popcorn, though fresh popped popcorn topped with your canned butter sounds pretty good. If you coarse grind popcorn in a mill, you get cornmeal. I have used this cornmeal to make everything from cookies to pancakes. You can fine grind the popcorn into a type of corn flour. It's not exactly masa, but it might do in a pinch. I have used this in a recipe for north of the border tortillas, which uses a combination of white flour and corn flour. They had a very corn tortilla flavor. Sometimes you can't get the exact food you want, but you might be able to come close. There are recipes for non-apple apple pies. Doesn't have apples, but tastes pretty close. Dry beans are just going to make beans, and they can take a long time to cook. However, you can pressure can them. They will be instantly available and more tender than the store-bought cans of beans you buy. They also make great refried beans. I'll cover how to do that in the All About Preservation series. Now to green coffee beans. Yes, this is a one-trick pony item, and I don't care. I need my coffee, and store-bought ground coffee or roasted beans will lose their oils and will get stale. I roast my green beans as needed for very fresh coffee, tailored to my taste. The green beans, if stored properly, will last a long time and are much cheaper than the roasted beans you buy in the store. Now you could roast the beans and either eat them directly or make chocolate-covered coffee beans using almond bark, which tastes just like chocolate and is shelf-stable. I use the almond bark to make my own chocolate-covered peanuts, so I guess the green coffee beans are not a one-trick pony item after all. You can use your rice to make rice flour by fine grinding dry rice into rice flour. Finally, to wheat or wheat berries. Wheat is very similar to rice in that it is a small, very hard grain kernel. The most common use is to fine grind wheat into wheat flour to make bread and to bake with. For every cup of wheat you mill, you will get from 1¼ to 1½ cups of flour. A note here, many experts say you must use your milled flour within anywhere from 1 week to 1 month after milling, or it goes stale or rancid. This is the same for coffee experts, as they say you must use your roasted coffee beans within a week of roasting. This is major BS. When I roast coffee, I end up with 5 or 6 pint jars of roasted beans. These roasted beans have lasted me many months, though I do not grind them until I make the pot of coffee. The same for wheat flour. I have milled various varieties of wheat and used them many months later. The flour was not stale or rancid, and the bread I made rose just fine and tasted great. So much for experts. I also use my wheat to make my own cream of wheat by coarse grinding the wheat. My homemade cream of wheat cooks up exactly as the store-bought one does and tastes better and has more nutrition. I've had this stored for more than 5 months, and it was still fresh. The other things you can use wheat for are as an extender for meat, such as meatloaf or hamburger patties, and it can be used in soups and stews. This is the end of the All About Food series. As stated in last week's net, if you have any questions about what we have discussed here tonight, please ask during the roundtable. Or send your question to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. Again, I cannot urge you enough to view the expanded presentation on our YouTube channel for additional information on our topic. I think we'll start the All About Electricity topic next time. This will be a multi-part series as there will be a lot to cover.